Hey guys, John from Long Honeymoon. So we were out west and we met this awesome dude named Ronnie, and he said he knows all sorts of stuff about solar systems and getting power from the sun. Solar. This week, I've been learning all about solar from professional solar installer and Airstream ambassador, Ronnie Dennis, also known as Airstream Nuts and Bolts on Instagram. We are now the proud owners of a fantastic solar power system. And all of these components in our system have been chosen by Ronnie.
4 100-watt Renogy Eclipse panels. The reason that I like Renogy panels is I've used them for years. They've been reliable, they're durable, they hold up well. They probably give you a good economical price tag. They're tempered glass, essentially built to residential standards, so they'll hold up against hail, limb falls on them, those type things. They're going to be as durable as any other panel. They've got a good, nice, thick frame around them. They're rigid panels. You know, we didn't go with flexible panels. The flexible panels tend not to last as long, so the rigid panels seem to work. But yeah, Renogy panels are the ones that I've used for the last 4 years or so and providing good results. So I tend to stick with what works.
So I know some of you out there are going to ask, why didn't you put 12 solar panels on your roof? Well, first of all, you're limited by the available real estate on your roof. And if you look at the roof of our Airstream, we can easily put 4 up there, but Ronnie's system is designed to be expandable. If we want to add 2 or 3 more down the road, we can do so. We're not going to know until we get out in the real world and we see how quickly these batteries recharge, whether we need to add additional solar panels. Power comes from the roof and it comes through wires and it comes in here, and this thing makes it safe. This is a solar charge controller by Victron Energy. And the whole point of this piece of gear is to make that electricity from the solar panels safe for consumption by these lithium batteries by Battleborn.
Yeah, so this is the solar charge controller. It's MPP technology, which is maximum power point tracking, is a newer technology versus the older PWM. It's 100 volts, so it can take up to 100 volts of DC current from the panels and 50 amps. We're only running in 17.7 volts in, so we're well underneath that. And our amps will be somewhere around 30 to 40 amps coming off of the roof of the trailer. But what this does is it takes the raw power, the 17.7 or 17.1 volts that the solar panels are putting out, and it converts it into a pre-programmed charge profile for these batteries. It will charge at 14.4 volts. And it also has the bulk absorb and float sensing in it. So when these batteries are depleted, it'll charge in bulk mode and it'll use as much solar as it needs to use from the roof to charge these batteries. And as these batteries fill up and when they become full, it'll shift over into a float mode, which will basically just work like a battery tender, and it'll just kind of maintain these batteries and kind of sit in standby and just check them every now and then and make sure that they're still full, but it won't continue to supply power from the roof into the battery. A lot of people ask, well, how come you just can't take a solar panel and hook it straight to a battery and use it? Well, the battery voltage, it needs to charge at 14.4, and the solar panel would be 17.7 volts. So what would happen is eventually that solar panel would bring the internal voltage of this battery up to 17.7 volts, which is way too much voltage for the battery, and it would damage the battery. Now, with the Battleborn batteries and the BMS system in place, the battery management system wouldn't allow that to happen. But if you were to hook a solar panel to a regular lead acid battery or a battery that did not have a battery management system in it, it would ruin the battery just because of the high voltage coming in from the solar panel. The choice to go with lithium for Sean and Christie's install was a pretty easy one, because we wanted to be able to store a large amount of power and didn't want to have to be concerned necessarily about the weight. Each one of these Battleborn batteries are 100 amp hour capacity batteries. So each one's capable of having 100 amp hours of storage. We have these batteries hooked in parallel, which means that all the positives are connected together and all the negatives are connected together. By doing it that way, we did not increase the voltage of these batteries. The nominal voltage of the battery remains at 13.1 volts, 12.8 volts, somewhere in that range. So this battery bank, by having it hooked the way we do, we have 400 usable amp hours of energy at 13.1 volts. One of the main advantages is weight. Each one of these batteries only weighs 31 pounds. Sean and Christy had 2 flooded lead acid batteries that weighed about 70 pounds apiece, and they were 100 amp hours each, but you could only use 50% of their capacity. So you had 200 amp hours of lead acid batteries and only had 100 amp hours of use. 70 pounds apiece gave us a weight of 140 pounds. One of these batteries would replace the usable energy in both of those batteries, and it weighs 31 pounds. So we went from 140 pounds and 100 amp hours of usable energy to 124 pounds of 400 usable amp hours of energy. Lithium batteries are by far the safest option for energy storage in an RV this day and age. This is one of the biggest advancements in RV technology that has come along in decades. These batteries use a lithium iron phosphate as their cathode. The lithium iron phosphate is a safe chemistry. It's a safe option. Each one of these batteries also has what they call a BMS, which is a battery management system. They have a circuit board inside here that has thermal cutoffs. So it has a low temperature cutoff, it has a high temperature cutoff, which prevents you from running the battery when it's too hot, charging the battery when it's too cold. Each one of these batteries has a bunch of little batteries inside it that are about the size of, say, a D or a C size battery. Your common D or C size battery are inside, and they're all welded to a plate, and they basically have a small fuse on each one of them. So if one of those cells goes awry, it burns the fuse in two and eliminates the potential for fire inside the battery. But yeah, these one of the safety things with lithium iron phosphate is they do not release hydrogen gas like flooded lead acid batteries or AGM batteries do. They don't vent, so storing them inside is absolutely safe. They don't have any liquid acid inside them, so you don't have to worry about them spilling or leaking or corroding. There's no maintenance. The only maintenance to this battery that you have to do is make sure that the terminals are tightened every now and then. Just make sure that you've got good tight wire connections and that your crimps and everything are like they need to be. Lifespan of these batteries is another huge benefit. I mean, Battleborn warranties this battery for 10 years to have its full rated capacity of 100 amp hours. And at the end of that 10 years, they still say that this battery will have 80% of its capacity. So instead of this battery being a 100 amp hour battery, it's still going to be an 80 amp hour battery. So even after the 10-year period is over, these batteries are still very much usable.
Dudes, this is like the heart of the solar system, and this is the brain.
Let's talk just a second about the Victron MultiPlus inverter charger. This box here, this blue box, actually covers 2 functions for the trailer. One is, it's our new converter battery charger. So when we're plugged into shore power, this is the device that charges our battery bank. This is also the device that provides the DC current to the DC distribution part of the trailer. It works as a battery charger, and it charges at 120 amps. Most battery chargers in RVs are somewhere around 55 amps. So what this 120 amps means is this is 120 amps per hour that'll go into these batteries. Each one of these batteries are 100 amp hours each. So you could essentially charge one of these batteries from empty to full in under an hour. So if this entire battery bank was dead, at 120 amp hours, you're looking at a little over 3.5 hours to charge it from dead to full. It's also a 3,000 watt inverter. So this takes our DC current, which comes in through these cables here, inverts it from DC power to AC power, and then provides AC power to the trailer. So this gives us the ability to operate at 3,000 watts. We can run the microwave, we can run the air conditioner. You can run pretty much anything in a 30 amp trailer that you want to run off of this one inverter without any issues at all. One of the things that I really like about the Victron suite of components and using them together is the smart technology that they have. They have the ability to communicate with each other. So this can talk to the solar charge controller, and the solar charge controller can talk to this. The battery monitor talks to all of them. So all of the information you're getting from your solar charge controller, from your inverter, is all communicated to each device so that they work in sync together. We chose to use all Blue Sea systems fuses. They just make really solid components for the RV and yachting industry. They're real big in the marine industry. Starting out, we've got an A&L main fuse rated at 400 amps. So this is our main catastrophic fuse for the system. And then we have our main DC distribution cutoff, our battery cutoff switch. This is a 600 amp continuous switch, so it's a very heavy duty switch for the system. But this gives us the ability to completely remove the batteries from the system just by turning it off. This fuse here is a AMG or a mega fuse. This is the fuse that feeds our Blue Sea safety hub. It's a 150 amp DC distribution system. We put this in place to replace the Airstream factory DC distribution system and neutral bus bar. So now we have all of our 20 amp circuits here. Each one of these were feeding individual lines. So you work with ATO fuses. These are just standard automotive fuses. You got a fuse puller here if you need it. Some of the larger fuses, these mini fuses, are what they call MIDI fuses, or some of our bigger circuits. You got a 30 amp, 40 amp, and 60 amp fuses that feed these larger loads coming in. Put replacement fuses on the inside of the cover, so you got your extra fuses there. We didn't have a place to put a 60 amp in place, so we simply added a 60 amp to the backer board down here that's available if it's ever needed. This switch here is a Blue Sea 300 amp switch. This is our disconnect switch for the solar panels on the roof. Because the solar panels put out continuous voltage anytime they're exposed to sunlight or light, you need a way to be able to remove that power from the system. So this switch right here gives us the ability to do that. We can turn it off, and then the power will be removed from the solar controller and won't continue to enter the rest of the system.
And check this out. Like, you can push buttons and like you see different colors and you see things moving around on here. You can see the power from the sun coming in the trailer and going different places. And dudes, I can just stand here for hours and stare at this. Look at the colors.
This is a separate piece of equipment. You can see at any time what you're getting from shore power, what you're getting from the solar panels, what kind of demands are being placed on your batteries in terms of DC power and AC loads. You can also use the companion app and check the condition of your solar system from your phone anywhere in the world, and you can actually control it remotely through the app, which is another brilliant feature of this system.
You can see here on the MultiPlus, now that we've got operational, that you've got your photovoltaic charge.
From the 280s up to 300. 300's been the highest we've seen so far. But we're dealing with winter sun and so forth.
When the sun comes out from behind a cloud, it will spike. Yeah, I mean, and today it's late February and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're beyond what would be classified as solar peak, and we're definitely in winter sun. But yeah, we saw as much as 300 today. It was charging at that point at about 17, 18 amps, something like that. So should work out fine. Those panels are capable of putting out voltage with any light source at all. So, you know, I've seen it and had reports of you'll get, you know, 2-3 amps of charge from parking lot lights if you're Walmart camping.
What about Seymour, you ask? What about our loyal truck Seymour? Our trailer's getting all the attention here. Have we forgotten about our truck? No. With this piece of gear by Renogy, this is a DC to DC battery charger. This protects the alternator in our truck.
So this is the 40 amp DC-DC battery charger from Renogy. It will connect to the truck and charge the lithium batteries. The internal resistance inside the lithium batteries is so low that it can cause a massive amount of power draw on your alternator to discharge lithium batteries. So what the DC-DC charge converter does is it basically governs or throttles the amount of amperage that the alternator can send to the lithium batteries, therefore not overheating the alternator by overcharging. So we're under the hood of Seymour, and basically what we've done is we've attached some 2-gauge welding cable or 2-gauge pure copper wire to the battery terminals. So the positive and negative battery terminals. And then the positive comes over here to a Blue Sea fuse block and has a 60 amp fuse in it. And then both of the cables run inside the frame rail to the rear of the vehicle to where we have an Anderson power pole connector.
Welcome to the bedroom of our Airstream. There's one other piece of equipment I'd like to tell you about, and it is a surge protector by Progressive Industries. The point of this guy is to protect all that fancy gear in the front of the trailer from a power surge.
Some campgrounds, the wiring is just terrible, dudes.
So what this does is this actually protects the trailer from any low voltage, high voltage, brownout situations, surges, incorrectly wired panels or pedestals or anything of that sort. This basically filters all the power from the outside system. So power would come in from the outside into the surge protector, then it comes out of the surge protector and goes to the front of the trailer to where we just showed the previous AC breaker, and then power comes back from there and comes into this box here and makes its connection and goes up to here, which is the AC distribution panel. So this panel here is powered by either shore power when you're plugged into shore power, or by the inverter when the inverter is in the on position and you're not hooked to shore power.
So that's pretty much it, guys. That's our solar system. I think in the next video we're going to show you how they put all this radical stuff in the trailer. And by the way, you should go check out Ronnie's page at Airstream Nuts and Bolts on Instagram. Until next time, what do we say here? We say low, low, ho, solar, right? The sun, power from the sun. Look at it, dudes.